Psalms 91. Psalms 91. Very familiar passage of Scripture. And many times we have been forced to run to this passage in our time of need. And I don't know about you, but I've had many times where I had to run, not walk, but run to Psalms 91, verses 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't want to put too much on my plate lest I be forced to try to get it off. So those 4 verses should consume enough time for this message. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Here's what I like. I like deliverance. Say deliverance. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. And then look what else He'll do. He'll cover you. Anybody here know what it is to be covered? Cover thee with feathers. And under His wings, God, shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. I want to talk about the hiding place. The hiding place. When we think about, as we come to the end of this decadent decade of the 20s, 100 years ago, they called it the Roaring 20s. But we've seen some devastation in this decade of the 20s. We've seen to the point that Marvin Gaye, now don't y'all sit there and act like you don't know what I'm talking about, that Marvin Gaye, the man that y'all used to Marvin Gaye said, there are some things that make you want to holler and throw up both of your hands. Somebody say amen in this house. Y'all remember even when that song came out, you knew where you were and what you were doing. And I submit to you today that there are some things that'll make you want to holler and throw up both of your hands. When I listen to the evil and the rhetoric that spews daily from the pen, from the mouth of the proverbial leader of this country, it makes me want to holler. When I see the masses running away from Christian principles and going along with evil at its worst, it makes me want to holler and throw up both of my hands. To throw up both of your hands is a sign of surrender. Not the type of surrender when we sing, I surrender all to him I freely give, not that kind of surrender. But it is coming to the point that I've turned to the left and I've turned to the right. I've looked ahead of me and I've looked behind me, and yet I cannot get any peace. So my only conclusion, as I throw up both of my hands, there must be a place that I can go. We used to sing that song, Sister Bridget, where can I go but to the Lord? Where is it that I can go in these times that we are now living in? Trouble on every hand. Truth has surrendered to the will of the evil. In this particular text, lest I hold you too long, in this particular text is what's known as an offering psalms. We do not know who wrote Psalms 91. Maybe it was Moses. Maybe it was David. Perhaps it was Hezekiah. Maybe it was Nathan the seer or Isaiah or one of the other prophets. But it is ironic to me. I hope you still got your Bibles open. Don't shut me down. It is ironic that Psalms 91 is placed at the beginning of the collection of Psalms, which make up the fourth book of the Psalms, to stand shoulder to shoulder with the previous masterpieces, meaning Psalms 90, one of my favorite Psalms, which said, Lord, thou hast been, not yet, son, you're going to get me going here. And music do something to you, you know. Psalms 90, next door to Psalms 91, says, Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, ever thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting. Thou art God. So Psalms 91 is the beginning of the fourth book of the collection of the Psalms. Both Psalms 91 and Psalms 90 is really an exposition of Deuteronomy 33 and 27, which talks about the eternal God is our refuge. When you reach the point that your days are difficult, when you reach the point that there's no peace in your house, in your home, in your workspace, in your neighborhood, in the marketplace of life. It is when you can say with Deuteronomy 33:27 that the eternal God is my refuge. Well, that's the theme of Psalms 90. It is the Psalms of the wilderness experience. A great Psalms which talks about the preeminence of God. And don't you know, God is God. And I don't care where you go, what religious boundaries you observe. God is God all by himself. Well, Israel, the nation Israel, had experienced the death penalty that had been passed upon them at Kadesh Barnea. And their sand glass of 40 years was running out. But even though, like me, time is running out on me, I don't have as many years in front of me as I've had behind me. I know that time is running out. But one thing I know, Brother Bean, the eternal God is my refuge. I'm not depending on the first of the month. I wish I had a witness in here. I'm not depending on the little automobile that we ride in. I'm not depending on the few food stamps that we get. Now, some of y'all are ashamed that you get them, but you ought not be ashamed. I stick my card up there just as big because it's there to supplement. Somebody ought to help me in here. But in the midst of all of that, I know that the eternal God is my refuge. That I'm not in this by myself. That I have a place to run to in the time of trouble. I know that underneath are the everlasting arms of God. We call this message the hiding place because it is a good place to run to when you are ready to surrender that you can't handle it, that you've done all that you can do, and there's nothing else physically that you can do. Now, I know some of you look good, feel good, but I come to tell you that some of us are empty shells. Now, I ain't talking about nobody, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. No substance, just empty. Brother said to me when I come in, said, Reverend, you got a whole lot of style, but style without substance means nothing. You got to have something on the inside, something that will keep the heart beating, something that will regulate your mind. You got to have the eternal God as your refuge. Well, lest I hold you too long, let me quickly walk through 4 things and go to my seat. I see 4 things here. The first thing I see is in times of trial, in times of trouble, in times of tribulation. The writer says, he that dwelleth. He that dwelleth. You take that word dwell, drop the D off of dwell. He that dwell well. He that is to experience peace. He that is to experience joy. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say, the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him will I trust. Well, in this verse 1, there are 4 names for God in one verse. Number 1, Elyon. Number 2, El Shaddai. Number 3, the Lord Jehovah. And then finally, my God, Elohim. What a great collection of divine names to have in one verse. This means, for me, is the 4 corners of the fortress and the refuge, each having a special meaning. Number 1, Elyon, the Most High, he is my possession. Anybody in here possess God in their hearts, in their body, in their experience? He is my possession. Number 1, he owns everything. In Psalm 50, it says to you and me that the cattle upon 1,000 hills all belong to God. You know, we most of the time focus on the cattle, but we don't focus on the hill. The hill, Psalms 24, verse 1, the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. The world and they that dwell therein all belong to God. So Elyon, the Most High, is my possession. Secondly, El Shaddai, the Almighty. He is my provision. He is the possessor. He is the possessor of everything. God is just not a living God, but God is a giving God. He is the one that supplies all of my needs. So in Philippians 4:19 says, but my God shall supply all of my needs as El Shaddai, the second post in my hiding place. The Almighty, he is my provider. He provides provision for us in our hiding place, in that secret place, in our fortress and in our refuge. Thirdly, he is Jehovah. I wish I had a witness in here. When I think about Psalms 23, says the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord is, not the Lord was, but the Lord is. You see, everybody that we look up to, they are a member of the Walls family. They was here, but they are no longer here. Everything that I look down on is a member of the Walls family. But I thank God that the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. So Jehovah, he is my promise. This was the greatest name for God among the Hebraic people. He is the God who exists because he exists. He is the I am that I am. He is the eternal God, the immutable, unchangeable one. He is the one who is in covenant relations with his own. He is the one that spoke the let there be's, and everything that there is came into existence. Well, I got one more to tell you, and then I promise you I'm going to my seat, because I have a whole lot more to say, but I am not going to say it on this time. Maybe the next time. But number 4, see, you in a hurry, boy, not yet. Chris. I love Chris, that's my son. Number 4, we have him styled as Elohim. He is God. Listen to that baby say amen. Did you hear that baby say Elohim? He is God the Creator. I'm so glad that we abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The word always occurs in plural form, accompanied by a singular verb, something which would be very sad and very bad grammar for everyone but God. Elohim is God as creator. That means that God has power. I wish I had a witness in here. Donald Trump think he got power? Going around calling people names, I got my name for him. He think he have power? God have all power. God can bat his eye and he'll have a stroke. God has all power. You think you have power? You sit down and wait on God. Then I've discovered in all of these years that you can't play with God. It is a dangerous thing to play with God. God is saying, I will not be played with, because I will allow your situation to change in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. You got to keep your eyes on the prize. Well, verse 3, Psalms 91 says, surely, let the Mitchell Connells come. Let the South Carolina man come. Let the evil come from a certain group. But surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. I wish I had a witness in here. Only God can deliver you. Only God can protect you. Well, Providence, we're living in a wicked world. The world we live in is wicked. Wickedness is walking the streets like a mad dog, male and female. Now, I don't want to get in trouble here, but a lot of times when we talk about wickedness, we only want to relegate that to the LBTG community. But there's a whole lot of wickedness going on in other places. I wish I had a witness in here. And see, some people think that if I get to the hiding place, if I get to the church, that the church is going to shield me. But if you don't have no God on the inside of you, one of these old days is going to be ashes to ashes and dust to dust. You are not going back with us. One of these days, the secrets of all hearts shall be revealed. I'm glad that he's going to deliver us from the wickedness. Well, in order to get deliverance, got me up here sweating. In order to get deliverance, in order to get deliverance, you're going to have a little faith in God. I'm not talking about a gigantic faith, but I'm talking about a little bit of faith. Faith to see over the dark and gloominess of right now. Faith to know that God will protect you. That God will provide for you. That God's power surrounds you. Well, I know it get mighty hard sometimes. And sometimes we're up. And sometimes we're down. Sometimes we are tossed and driven on this reckless sea of time. But I know that there is a God that rules earth and heaven. And if I'm right, he'll fight my battle. I shall get home someday. But I want you to know that while I'm here, that I have a hiding place. I have a place that I can run to. I can go to the rock that's higher than me. Is there anybody here that had so many problems that you just could not handle it? There's a story that tells us that there was an old lady that lived in a shoe, that she had so many children that she didn't know what to do. I want to paraphrase. She had so many problems. She didn't know what to do. But one day, K.T. Turner's version, she heard a word from the Lord. And the Lord said, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide